Welcome to Got Invention Radio. I'm your host, Brian Freed, and tonight we have special guests from the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Welcome to the show. We have Janet Gangola. She is the Associate Commissioner of Patent Examination Policy. John Calvert, the Acting Associate Commissioner for the Office of Innovation Development. And we have Elizabeth Doherty. She's the Director of Inventor Education Outreach and Recognition. All of you, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being on it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
All right.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Janet. So we have the United States Patent and Trademark Office officials on our show tonight. There's a lot of different things that are going on within the Patent Office. There's the American Invents Act, which just finally came into full effect. There's all different types of programs, resources, activities that are going on, and that's what they're here tonight to share with us. So let's start off with Janet. Janet Gangola. She, again, is the Associate Commissioner of Patent Examination Policy, and I know, Janet, that you've been on our show in the past. Actually, all our guests tonight have been on our show in the past, but last time you were speaking about the implementation activity that was going on with the America Invents Act, and I see that you've taken a different role, but you're still involved with all the activity that's just kind of come to fruition. Actually, just started.
Yes, good evening, Brian. Good evening, everyone. I am very pleased to be making a return appearance onto the show. I wanted to give you all an update on the status of our America Invents Act implementation and talk about a provision, the micro-entity discount, that I think is going to be very helpful for you and that you all should know about. Now, the America Invents Act became effective as law on September 16th of 2011, but the provisions in the Act were rolled out in stages, and the conclusion of our implementation occurred this month in March when the micro-entity discount, along with new patent fees and the first inventor to file provision, became effective. But I'm very excited to talk about the micro-entity discount because this provision offers a 75% discount on the majority of patent service fees for an entity that meets the definition of a micro-entity status, which I'll talk about in a few moments.
Okay.
Additionally, we have expanded out the small entity discount of 50%, which allows more fees to qualify for an increased discount than have been in the past. So I'd like to spend a few moments talking about some of the benefits of the micro-entity discount. First of all, I want to explain that the discount applies to all fees for filing, searching, examining, issuing, appealing, and maintaining a patent. So to put some dollars and cents behind that, this means that for an average patent application, to file the application and take it all the way through issue, a micro entity would pay only $640. A small entity would pay $1,280. These are great fee reductions. Today, or previous to March 19th, an entity would pay around $3,330 to file and secure a patent. So these savings are substantial for micro and small entities. Now, I also want to explain how do you get the discount, because you want to save substantial amounts of money in securing a patent. The America Invents Act gives a couple different options that an applicant can take advantage of. The first option is keyed off of experience with the patent system and income levels. And what I mean by that is specifically there are 4 requirements that an applicant has to meet under this first option. An applicant has to certify that they are a small entity. The applicant, second, has to certify they have not been named on more than 4 previously filed patent applications. We'll talk more about that one. Third, the applicant has to certify that they did not have a gross income that's exceeding 3 times the median household income in the calendar year before the fee is paid. And lastly, an applicant must certify that they have not licensed or assigned the invention to a large size entity. Now, these 4 requirements we'll talk a little bit more about. I want to focus in on the application filing limit. There, we are going to exclude from the count of 4 previously filed patent applications, foreign applications, provisional applications, and international stage applications. So the only applications that will count are non-provisionals, utility and design, plant, reissue, and national stage applications.
Okay. What about if a patent actually did not get assigned a patent? Does that count?
Yes. The criteria is based upon the filing of an application.
Okay.
Even if a patent did not issue, we would still count the application in deciding whether an applicant filed more than 4 previous applications.
Got it.
The count of 4 is really intended to focus in on truly new inventors, garage inventors, those with little experience with the patent system, because we want to encourage such entities to disclose their new technologies in exchange for getting a patent. Now, I also want to mention a little bit about the income limit. I talked about 3 times the median household income. That boils down to being about $150,000 each year. It is subject to change depending upon census data for median household income, but that gives a ballpark figure. So this discount, again, is only available to entities who are not high financed so that they can still access the patent system and encourage them to obtain a patent.
When they file for a patent, do they have to disclose their annual income?
They do not. An applicant for microentity status does not have to disclose their specific income, no. The applicant only has to state that their income is less than the $150,000 limit.
Okay.
Now, that's a first option to secure the microentity 75% discount, but there is a second option also available to an applicant. This option is keyed off of an applicant's affiliation with an institution of higher education. So here are the requirements. The applicant first has to certify that they are a small entity. And then second, the applicant has to certify either that they are employed by an institution of higher education or that the applicant has licensed or assigned their invention to an institution of higher education. You might be wondering, well, what's this institution of higher education? That term is defined by the Higher Education Act of 1965, and I'm not going to go through all of the requirements. I just want to single out the relevant ones. An institution of higher education must be located in a state. And the state means the state of the United States, the District of Columbia, or one of the U.S. territories. Next, the Institute of Higher Education has to be public or not-for-profit. And lastly, they have to award a bachelor's degree or the equivalent. So if an applicant meets either one of these 2 definitions, the applicant can be entitled to the 75% discount on the majority of patent service fees. To get the discount, though, the applicant must file a certification with the office indicating which of the 2 definitions they meet, and the certification must be in writing and submitted either with or before any fee is paid in the microentity amount. But once the certification is made in an application, an applicant can continue to pay microentity fees throughout the prosecution of that application and throughout the maintenance of that patent, as long as the conditions for the microentity discount remain in effect each time a fee is paid. To make this all easier for applicants, the Patent Office has created a simple form that the applicant merely indicates their name, and they sign the form and can submit it with their payment of a specific fee and secure the discount. The forms are available on the PTO website at the address www.uspto.gov/forms. It's very simple, easy to find the forms. Now, the last thing I want to tell you about is loss of microentity status. If an applicant does not meet the conditions of the two definitions I provided when a fee is due, the applicant will no longer be entitled to pay this 75% reduction on fees. The applicant will need to notify the Patent Office in that instance of the loss of microentity status, and they'll need to do so in writing. We don't have any specific form. A simple letter from an applicant is sufficient. But the loss of the microentity discount does not disqualify the applicant from the small entity discount. So in the worst case, if an applicant doesn't qualify for the 75% microentity discount, in all likelihood, the applicant will qualify for the 50% small entity discount. So it's still, in the long run, as I mentioned earlier, because we've expanded the small entity discount, it's still a win-win financial situation for the applicant.
Sure. And they have to go through the checklist before they file to decide what their discount is, and then does it get checked?
No, the Patent Office does not verify that the conditions of either definition, the two options we talked about, are met. We will simply accept the applicant's certification and then accord the discount either to the applicant in response to the the certification filing.
Okay. All right. Well, that's great stuff and very interesting. There's plenty of inventors listening out there and small businesses that are qualifying for the microentity fee, and they're just about to file for their patents, or they're thinking about filing for their patents. So this is great information. Thank you so much, Janet.
You're very welcome. The last thing I do want to let you know about is any applicant out there has questions about the America Invents Act or the microentity discount that we talked about tonight, the Patent Office has created a very special website where we have lots of information about the discount as well as the other America Invents Act provisions. The AIA microsite, as we call it, can be found at www.uspto.gov/America Invents Act, all one word. Additionally, we have created a special America Invents Act Help Center. An applicant can call or email to receive answers to their America Invents Act or microentity questions. And the telephone number for our Help Center is 1-855-HELP-AIA, or numerically 1-855-435-7242.
Excellent.
And the email address is helpaia@uspto.gov. So please, I encourage you to use the America Invents Act Help Center for any of your questions. We're delighted to receive them and happy to provide answers to you.
Thank you so much, Janet. And as you're speaking and giving us this great information, there are some questions that are coming in. And if you don't mind, and the guests, if you don't mind, let's get through our talking points here and getting the information out to the inventors, and we'll take some of the questions here that are coming in. By the way, if you don't know, you can email brian@gotinvention.com, and I will read your questions to our guest tonight from the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Janet, thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay, so now we have John Calvert. He, again, is the Acting Associate Commissioner for the Office of Innovation Development. And, John, you've